how's it going? Matthew Bailey here, and welcome to another live-action TV show review. And before I get started, I know I haven't uploaded in over 2 weeks, but that's because I've been trying to get mostly settled into this new house. After I uploaded that short blog talking about how my new recording space looks. But anyways, let's get into the review. And as you can see, I am reviewing H2O, Just Add Water. Now, I know another thing I need to just mention is I did upload like the first 5 episode reactions to this show for season 1. However, I had to take them down because 2 of them actually got already taken down before I had a chance to do anything about it, because those 2 were actually partially blocked in certain countries. So for those of you who have been wondering where those episodes reactions went, I had to take them down because I only had, I think, episodes 1, 2, and 4's reaction left. So I couldn't leave them out of order, so I just took them down. And so now I'm just doing the review of the show. And if you remember, over a year ago, I actually did a review on the sequel series to this called Mako Island of Secrets. So I'll probably leave the link to that video below, but that was before I moved into the apartment and way before I moved into this place. But so as you can see down here, I numbered 2 main things. Number 1 was the villains, and actually now that I see it, I actually misspelled that, but that's fine. These were the 2 main villains of the show, whatever. And this one right here, as a matter of fact, was the main one. Even though she really doesn't show up that much in the series. I mean, they originally just started out with this person known as Zane Bennett. He was actually the main bully to not just the girls, but even who I'm going to mention in number 2. However, it wasn't until after the very first appearance of this person that he had started to have affections for this young mermaid on the left side of the picture up here, known as Ricky Chadwick. He started to have affections for her. He didn't know about her secret yet, but unfortunately Cleo and actually now that I think about it, that's the wrong picture, but there was another mermaid that was with with Cleo and Ricky, known as Emma, and she was part of a rich family, while Ricky and Zane were going out, Ricky helped Zane start to realize that when his father tried to turn the island, which turned them into mermaids, into a resort, into an island/resort of some kind, and he actually stood up to his father for once. However, it wasn't until the season finale, the last 2 episodes of the season finale, that this villain came back, Dr. Denman, and let's move on to number 2 for a second. The friend of the mermaids, known as Lewis. Lewis here didn't find out about their secret until the 2nd episode, I believe, didn't find out until the 2nd episode of the season that they were mermaids. He helped them to try to keep it a secret, and helped them learn how to harness their powers. And however, he almost revealed their secrets to Dr. Denman the first time she ever showed up. But what he didn't realize is that when she came back during the last 2 episodes, because she stole some of his research that he accidentally gave her, but then he stole it right back. And then at one point she was able to stop everything she was doing to try to solve the whole mystery of why he tried to keep it from her. And that's when Zane turned back into his villain form, whatever, because he was trying to prove, like, because near the middle of the season, he almost drowned, and unfortunately Emma, who's not in this picture, was the one who saved him, and he caught her, but he spotted her in the water, but he only spotted the tail part of her. He didn't know it was specifically Emma. So it wasn't until the season finale, in the very last episode, when he discovered that Emma, Cleo, and Ricky were mermaids. And so when he realized his mistakes, he got the help of Lewis to free them once Dr. Denman discovered their secret. However, there was a way then. They thought there was a way that they could convince Dr. Denman that they lost their powers forever. And I didn't actually include her picture in here, but there was a mysterious woman in, I believe it was episode 4 of the season, known as Miss Chatham, who knew about their secret. Because apparently she had friends way back in the 50s who actually who had gotten the same type of magical transformation. However, her and Lewis were actually both aware of what was actually going to happen, but they didn't want the girls to know about it. So they tried to get back to Mako Island during a specific full moon, which is how they got their powers to begin with, when they were in a special pool that I think I mentioned in the review of the Mako series. And they basically lost their powers right in front of Dr. Denman, and so they just went home. And so did Dr. Denman. She went back to what she was doing, and thanks to Zane's help, they were able to. If they hadn't escaped the first time, they would have. I think they would have actually not been able to lose their powers already. So that's basically the summary of season 1 of H2O, where these 3 girls, Emma, Cleo, and Ricky, became mermaids. They had to deal with not just Zane, but the main focus of the whole series, which was Dr. Denman. They had a friend throughout most of the season, known as Lewis, and things were looking up for them. Hey everyone, I'm back. So now, as you can see, I now have my review of season 2, basically. And the reason why I don't have as many like text or pictures up here while I talk about it is because I don't want to talk too much about and reveal too much information. But as you can see, at number 1, I have the new villain of the show in season 2, which is another girl known as Charlotte, and she was introduced in the first episode, obviously, and she did show up throughout the season. However, she didn't become the main villain until, I believe, midway through the season, where she discovered, if you remember earlier in the video, I mentioned an older woman named Miss Chatham who had 2 other friends actually, who had the same mermaid powers. One of those friends was actually the grandmother of this young girl who became the villain halfway through the season. And when she discovered her grandmother's history, she went. There was even another plot twist where a guy who actually was in love with her grandmother. I can't remember his name. Exactly, but I do know that he also helped Lewis to get all this research, because at the beginning of the season they thought that they were safe. However, just like in the Mako Island of Secrets series, I don't know if I mentioned it in the review, but on the 7th moon cycle, which was actually what happened to Zach in the first season, as no, it was the second season, but he actually, but the girls, got hypnotized by the moon, and then they went into the moon pool, but when they came out the next day, their powers not only changed, but they got more powerful. So instead of Ricky boiling stuff, she could cause lightning strikes and set things on fire. Cleo, her powers also changed. She could also cause winds and stuff. And I believe Emma can make stuff freeze like a lot harder than they used to. Instead of just one item, it would freeze the entire thing. And so Lewis, along with the help of Zane a little bit, even though he thought that their powers were gone, and it wasn't until for a little into the season that he found out they still had their powers, but was willing to keep the secret for them. But like I said, in regards to the villain, Charlotte was the name of the girl who became the villain, and her grandmother's name was Gracie, I believe it was, and she basically, however, he revealed, the guy who was in love with her grandmother accidentally revealed to her that the island of Mako was where it all happened with him, and he mentions the words, at the right time in the right place magic happens, and then she overheard the three girls while they were in mermaid form in the moon pool, and so she realized when the moon came over and made the water start sparkling, she realized what the old man meant. Then she became a mermaid during some of the seasons. However, it wasn't until the finale and it wasn't just her becoming a mermaid that made her a true villain. She even stole Lewis throughout the majority of the season, where she became the girlfriend of Lewis, and stole him from Cleo. Because they started to have a connection near the end of season 1. And then, however, it wasn't until season 2's finale when he realized that she was using him, and she tried to get them to lose their powers forever, because there was a specific full moon that it would actually do that. Unfortunately, it backfired, and she was the one who lost her mermaid powers. But we never see her again after season 2. But Lewis convinced her to keep the secret, or whatever, and convinced her once again that he was never gonna be in love with her ever again. So that's basically what happened in season 3 of the show. Or not season 3, season 2, sorry. So now let's move on to season 3. Hey everyone, so finally we're in season 3. So as you can see at number 1, the villain of this season, I mean, she was kind of a villain throughout most of the season, but some of the bits of the season she was really being a pushover towards her brother, as you can see under the friends list, who I added, known as Will. And as you can see, another person I added in here is the fourth and as a third member of season 3 for the mermaids, known as Bella. And she's actually the one you see on the right side of this picture. She was the one who took Emma's place, who decided to travel the world with her family, which I guess that means she revealed her secret to them if she was traveling around the world in a boat. But I have to say, she was brave to do that. And of course, Zane and Lewis are still in here. However, there was one bit of time where Zane did become sort of another villain again. However, he realized his mistakes near the end of the season, and he actually was sort of big help to them when it came to figuring out what happened. However, his relationship with Ricky didn't last very long in season 3. I mean, they did kind of get back together at the end, and unfortunately Lewis was actually the one who left midway through the season because he was apparently called for a very special scholarship in America, because this whole show takes place mostly in Australia. So that's where that's why some of these people do sound like they're like they have accents. However, when Lewis left, Zane, Will, and Bella were the new ones who helped them, especially well, since Bella was one of the mermaids, it was mostly Zane and Will. However, the reason why I chose Sophie as the villain, or I think I put Sophie as the villain, is like I said, she was a pushover towards her brother throughout somewhat of the season. It wasn't until the actual competition that she supposedly had been building him up for that he actually decided to tell her that he did not want to do that anymore. He only wanted to do diving for fun. He didn't want to compete. And so apparently and she's actually the younger sister to Will. So apparently she only wanted him to be doing the competitions because she wanted to be rich. She claimed it was for him, but he didn't want to compete. He just wanted to do diving for fun, like I said. And I didn't find a picture for this, but there was also another sort of somewhat villain, not entirely, but near the beginning of the season, they had a water tentacle trying to attack Cleo, then it attacked Ricky, and that was where Bella revealed to them that she was a mermaid, and it kind of just went off the rails from there. However, the whole point of season 3 was they actually stopped a meteor from colliding with Earth, thanks to the help of Mako Island and the moon pool. Now, one thing I will point out about this season is that if there was a meteor that was being drawn to the planet, I think that was sort of what hinted at the next show, Mako Island of Secrets, because the real mermaids that were based in the show of Mako Island of Secrets, they never showed up whatsoever. So maybe by these 3 girls stopping the meteor, they finally came out of hiding after they went back to the mainlands, because they realized that something happened and they didn't get a chance to do what they wanted to do. So, and plus, like I said, I think I said this in the Mako review, Ricky was actually the only mermaid from this version from the original show to cross over into the Mako Sea series, but she didn't show up until the last 2 episodes of season 3 of that one. But that just tells you that these 2 shows are connected, and that Mako took place after these events. And based on what the last 2 episodes of Mako Island of Secrets hinted at, it makes you wonder, could they do like a full-length movie of some sorts with these characters? Not just the ones from Mako Island of Secrets, but these characters from H2O. Like, we could see the return of Zane, Lewis, Bella, Will, maybe Sophie, depending on what happens. And I think I know out of the main villains that were actually featured throughout each of the 3 seasons, I honestly think I know exactly who could possibly be a villain, the main villain of the movie, whatever. And that can be between Dr. Denman and Charlotte. Like, they could, since Charlotte can never become a mermaid again, whatever, even if she did try to go in the moon pool, she actually could team up with Dr. Denman after realizing what's happened over the past few years, and she could and both of them could cause trouble for the characters, not just the ones that they featured in the show, but even the Mako characters like Zach, Cam, Evie, all those characters. And I really hope to see if they ever make a movie on this, but for now, this is the end of my TV show review on H2O, and as always, I will see all of you dudes in the next video.